All right, so this is the next concept that we have then, function transformations. Okay, function transformation. Now, in A levels, you'll study that there are a number of different transformations that are possible, but in SAT, we only have translation. So it's not that complicated. There's only one type of translation that we will have here in functions, and that's translation. Now, transformations basically change a function to some other function, right? That's what it means to transform a function. Now, there are just two types that we will be dealing with here. One is a vertical translation where the graph moves up or down. The graph shifts up or down. And the other is horizontal translation where again the graph moves left or right. So it's a horizontal shift or a vertical shift. These are the only two types of transformations that you need to know of in SAT. Now, let's start with the vertical transformations first. Let's say you have a function f of x equals x squared plus 2x. Now, if I make this x squared plus 2x plus 2, if I add 2 to the whole function, that's equivalent to saying f of x plus 2. So I've added 2 to the whole function. What do you think is going to happen to this graph? X squared plus 2x is a U-shaped graph, right? It looks like this. That's the original graph. If you add this 2 to that, what happens to the graph? It moves 2 units up because you've added 2 to the y value of the function. पूरे function में you've added 2, right? It was y equal to x squared plus 2x earlier. Now you're adding 2 at the end. That means every y value is 2 units more than what it was before. So it moves 2 units up. So it might look something like this. Moves 2 units up like this. Okay, you can try this on Desmois to understand this. You have one function which is f of x equal to x squared plus 2x. This is what the graph of this function looks like. If you add 2 to the whole function plus 2, this is what happens. The green graph is what you get. Every point moves 2 units up. So the turning point that was at -1 earlier, that goes to +1, the y value of that, right? The x-intercept that was at 0, this point at 0. These points go to 2 instead, right? The y value increases by 2. So blue was the original graph, green is the transformed graph. Similarly, if you subtract something, if you do, for instance, f of x minus 3, the graph moves 3 units down. Is that okay? So if we add something to a function, it moves that many units upwards. If we subtract something, it moves that many units downwards. Is that okay? That's a vertical transformation. This is what happens in vertical transformation. Right, this is just what we saw there, f of x plus 2. If the dotted graph was the original graph, the y-intercept also, everything moves up by 2 units. The y-intercept also changes by 2 units. It moves up by 2 units. Okay. So if the dotted one was the original graph, plus 2 makes it this other graph, 2 units up. Minus 2 brings it down by 2 units. Is that okay? Now, horizontal transformations work slightly counterintuitively. Now, let me explain what that means. This is one function, x squared plus 2x. F of x equals x squared plus 2x. Now, horizontal transformation means that you change x now. Instead of changing y, you change x. So for instance, you could say f of x minus 3, for instance. Instead of f of x, now you have f of x minus 3. That means you have replaced x with x minus 3. What do you think is going to happen to the graph? It's f of x minus 3. We have subtracted 3 units from x. The graph should move 3 units to the left, right? We're subtracting, so it should go to the left, right? Does anyone agree? Yes? No. It moves 3 units to the right instead. So when we do x minus 3, the graph goes 3 units right. In horizontal transformations, it works the other way around. I'll explain why in a moment. So if you do minus something, the graph moves to the right in horizontal transformations. If you do x plus something, the graph moves to the left. So in horizontal, it works the other way around. Is that okay? Now let's try to understand why that is the case. Okay, so let's say in the original function, this f of x is the original function and f of x plus 3 is the transformed function, right? If you input x equal to 0 in the first function, what value do you get? F of 0, right? How do you get the same value f of 0 from the second function? What value of x is going to give us f of 0? We would have to input x equal to minus 3 here. That means the value of y that we were earlier getting at 0, now we are getting that same value at minus 3. This is x plus 3. No, I changed that. So the first example was x minus 3. In that case, it moves to the right. If it's x plus 3, it moves to the left. Okay? So if it's f of x plus 3, x equals minus 3 gives us the same value that we were earlier getting at x equal to 0. That means x equals 0 wala point kahan chala gaya hai? The x equals 0 point, where was that? This point, it moves to minus 3. Similarly, let's try another value, x equal to 2, for instance. When we input x equal to 2 in the first function, what do you get? F of 2, right? How can you get f of 2 from the second function? What value of x you will have to input there? इसमें क्या input करेंगे तो अंदर 2 आ जाएगा. -1 plus 2 is going to give you 3, right? So x equals -1. The value that we were getting at 2 earlier, now we get that same value at -1. So the point at 2, which was somewhere above there, it's not in the graph, that also moves 3 units to the left, basically. So every single point on the graph moves 3 units to the left. That's the reasoning behind it. Is that okay? Any problems? Now that's the logic. Now you need to remember this rule in general for horizontal transformations. If you have f of x as the original function, which is x squared plus 2x. If you have f of x plus 1, what would that be? X plus 1 whole squared plus 2 into x. In this case, it shifts 1 unit to the left. Is that okay? And if you do f of x minus 1, that means 1 unit to the right. Any problem with this? So now you need to remember this. In vertical transformations, plus means up, minus means down. In horizontal transformations, plus means left, minus means right. All good? Okay. So This is one example of that. F of x plus 1, the dotted one is the original graph. That moves 1 unit to the left. F of x minus 1, the dotted graph moves 1 unit to the right.
So in
Take it.
if we add something, so the graph will be left.
Yes. If we in horizontal transformations, something changes inside the function. X is replaced with x plus 1. In vertical transformation, something happens outside the function. F of x के पूरे बाहर कुछ हो रहा होता है. Outside the function, you're adding something or subtracting something. That's a vertical transformation. Okay? Let's try this now. In an xy plane, the graph of y equals g of x is the result of translating the graph of... Can we do this quickly now? We have one more topic to cover after this as well. So please, let's speed up a little. The graph of y equals g of x is the result of translating the graph of f of x down 3 units and to the left by 5 units. If the function f of x is x minus 3 whole squared plus 1, what is g? Down by 3 units. What does that mean?
Down by minus 3.
Subtract 3 from the whole function. Vertical के लिए you have to subtract or add to the whole function. So you do minus 3 outside the whole function. Is that okay? That means 3 units down. Make sense?
So तो हमने practice के अंदर वाला function
नहीं. In vertical, no. So f of x goes to f of x minus 3. So the function, the rest of it remains as it is. You just subtract 3 from the whole of that. That's a vertical transformation. Okay? And then it moves to the left by 5 units.
if you add 5.
That means inside the function. Inside the function. That means in place of x, you add 5. Left means you have to plus something. Right? So this becomes f of x plus 5 minus 3. Is this all right?
So अभी हम brackets की बात करें.
This was vertical.
वो तो समझ आ गया. वो आपने उसके बाहर लिखा है x minus 3.
Left right में horizontal transformation हो रही होती है ना. That means you have to change x. x को replace करना है किसी और चीज के साथ.
So तो हम
So in place of x now, we have x plus 5. We are adding 5 to it.
so where are we adding?
X. So we'll do that in this function. So we have subtracted 3 already. The next step that we do here now is we say x plus 5 minus 3 whole square plus 1 minus 3, which simplifies to x plus 2 whole squared minus 2. X की जगह पे you have x plus 5. Outside the whole function you have minus 3. This is the result that you get, x plus 2 whole squared minus 2, and that's option B here. This is what g of x is supposed to be. Is this okay? This is what you can remember. For vertical transformations, something is added or subtracted outside the function. This is vertical. This is vertical movement. For horizontal transformations, something is added or subtracted to x. This is horizontal. That means left or right. Vertical means up, down. Horizontal means left, right. Okay? In vertical, you add or subtract to the whole thing. In horizontal, you just add or subtract to the value of x inside the bracket. Any problems? Okay. So this is the summary of that. This is what we just discussed. F of x plus a, that means you're shifting up by a units. F of x minus a, you're shifting down by a units. If it's inside the bracket like this, f of x plus a inside the brackets, that means you're moving left by a units, and if it's minus a inside the brackets, that means you're moving right by a units. These are 4 transformations: 2 horizontal, 2 vertical, left, right, right. That's all that you need to know. Is that okay? No problems? Okay, let's have a look at some more examples now. Now, which of the following translations of the graph of y equals 2x squared minus 2 results in the graph of y equals 2x squared plus 4? So how do we transform this to get 2x squared plus 4? 2x squared minus 2 to 2x squared plus 4. What is changing? You're adding 6 to the whole function. Is that vertical or horizontal? Doing something to the whole function. So it's vertical. 6 units up. Right? Which option is that? B. Right? Okay. Let's have a look at this now. The function f is defined by f of x equals minus into x minus 5. G of x is a result of translating the graph up by 8 units. What's the y coordinate of the y-intercept of the graph of g of x? What's the y-intercept of g of x? So the original function is minus into x minus 5. It's going up by 8 units. Is that vertical or horizontal? Vertical. So something is supposed to be done outside the whole thing. So minus into x minus 5 plus 8. Right? And now you simplify this: minus x plus 5 plus 8 minus x plus 13. It's y equals minus x plus 13. What's the y-intercept of this function? Y-intercept of this function? 13. It's a straight line function, right? So the y-intercept is 13. Okay? No problems? Let's try this. Take 30 seconds, tell me the answer to this quickly. Yes, A, B, C, D. Remember, in horizontal or vertical transformations, or in fact in any kind of transformation, if it's a linear function, it remains a linear function. If it's a quadratic function, it remains a quadratic function. So C is not possible in any case, right? We can't go from a linear function to a quadratic function. So that's not possible. Which of the other choices is correct? A? Any other answers? A? Okay. 20 units to the right. What does that mean? If it was f of x, it goes to f of x minus 20. Okay. We have minus x plus 3. In place of x, you put x minus 20. What does that mean? Minus into x minus 20 plus 3. And that gives you minus x plus 20 20 units to the right. F of x is going to f of x minus 20. Is that correct? X minus 20. Okay. And then minus into x minus 20 plus 3 outside. And that's giving me minus x plus 20 plus 3, which should be minus x plus 23. Can anyone spot any error here? What's the error? Okay, let me just check if the options are messed up here. Which example is this? Where did I take this from? y equals minus x plus 3. Okay. These options are incorrect, I'm sorry. Let's add another option. It should have been minus x plus 23. And that's the correct option. It's supposed to be minus x plus 23. Okay? This is what it should be. Is that all right? Does everyone understand the logic of it? No? x की जगह आपने x minus 20 डालना था, so वो bracket में इस तरह से आएगा. So that's minus x plus 23. That is supposed to be the correct answer. Okay? All right. Let's try this now. The function f is defined by f of x equal to ax into x minus 7, where a is a constant. The graph of y equals f of x, and the xy plane is translated 11. Okay. So this is the function f of x equals ax into x minus 7. It's translated 11 units to the left. What does that mean? F of x goes to f of 11 units to the left. Horizontal or vertical? It's horizontal. Left means plus. So f of x plus 11. So wherever you have x in this function, you replace that with x plus 11. What does that give you? A into x plus 11 into x plus 11 minus 7. So that's a into x plus 11 into x plus 4. That is option B.